there, I'm just here talking about The Bachelor, and it was quite the episode. It was very dramatic and crazy. It is fantasy suites, so let's talk about it, guys. So they're in Iceland, and at the very beginning he starts talking about how he has been holding back and he's gonna let his walls down with the ladies, and you're just like, how is this gonna go? And yeah, so all the ladies are just sitting there, and they put them all in one like little suite so they can like tell when the other ones are leaving. They have to come back and talk to each other. It's just real awkward, super awkward. Just always is, like, no matter what season. But this season these girls are like really good friends, so it's like a little different of a dynamic because they're all really close, and it's still really awkward. Anyway, so yeah, so Gabby, there's a little moment where she talks about how she's excited to be with Clayton and to explore this time with him in the fantasy suites, and that she can't wait to have him all to herself and all this stuff. And it's really, she's just talking about like how excited she is. And then you have Susie talking about how nervous she is, and like how it's just, she doesn't know how it's gonna go, and how she is just like worried, how she's just worried, and how she hopes that he takes sex as seriously as her and all this stuff. Not that she's talked to him about it at all, but that she hopes he has the same standards as she does, which might have been a good idea to like check in on that before this. I don't know, have like a little mini conversation about your standards or something, because it's kind of expected in the show. Like, you do fantasy suites, or like if he's not into you then he sends you home, like whatever. But anyway, so this is gonna be their first, if you've never seen the show, which I'm assuming you've seen the show, it's their first time really being alone without the cameras. So that also means like intimate talking and like conversation where you get to feel like it's really real. And then there's like sex and whatever stuff. So yeah, so Rachel is first, and yeah, so they go on a helicopter ride, and then they go down in a volcano like 400 feet down, and I wrote, they're getting really deep. Like deep in love. Yeah, they're just going down in the volcano, and then they have their dinner date, and I put that they were so smiley and they're just like so into each other. And she vocalizes how scared she was at the last rose ceremony, and he says that he's falling in love with her, and it's been a couple of weeks, and that he wanted to say it but he was too scared. And then they stay in the room together. They forgo their suites. They forgo their single rooms and they go to the suite. And anyway, so yeah, so they stay in the room together, and it goes really well, and they make breakfast together, and yeah, they make breakfast and they make out a lot. Anyway, so after that he starts talking about how the day was perfect, that everything was perfect, but there's still two other women, and he's gonna open his heart to them too. So yeah, and then it shows Susie again. She's having a hard time. You can tell she's gonna be last. Like, you can just tell they're gonna put her through the ringer. They're just, yeah. So Gabby's next, and they're going on a razor on black sand beaches. Oh my god, that's like my dream date. That would be so fun. I freaking love Gabby so much. Gabby's attitude towards the sex is kind of like what I expect from somebody that would go on The Bachelor. More of like, I'm gonna let him explore all of his options, and then at the end he chooses me, and that means like he's definitely certain it's me. So I have more of that attitude than Susie's, is like, he better not have sex with anybody, and it better just be me, and he has no idea of that, but okay. Anyway, so that is just my opinion. So a lot of people are different. My mom was saying that she's different. She totally gets like she would feel the exact same way as Susie. And yeah, it's just people are different, you know. So anyway, while they're out on the beach, like doing the razor thing, the four-wheeler, she's like, we can't be stopped, and she's just so cute and funny. And at their little, they have like a mini dinner, and he says, she's given me everything and I'm not gonna fight falling in love with her. And then he continues to say, it's so natural with her, you feel like home and comfortable. And she says that he hears her and not expecting her to be just fun Gabby all the time, like he like sees the deep sides of her and is okay with that. He says that he's falling in love with her and that he was too scared to admit it, and it's oddly similar to what he says to Rachel. So it was just kind of like, okay, yeah, that's not going to play back well. Okay, and then they snap back to Susie. She's pacing around this big staircase thing, and then she goes and sits down and has a glass of wine. She's just like, huh? She's just like losing it. And then the flashback to Clayton, and he's like, everything's coming crashing back, that I don't want to hurt anyone, but I'm going to actually shatter someone, and I don't want to do that. So yeah, so he's realizing like, oh shit, I'm in big trouble because I'm in love with 3 women. I slept with 2 of them. So he sleeps with Gabby too. Yeah, they have a good night. Whatever. Anyway, he sleeps with both of them. And then he goes on his date with Susie the next day. They go to this spa pool thing. And it actually goes like pretty well for like how nervous she was, and like how like I thought she was just going to tell him right off the bat, which is probably what I would have done if I was feeling that way. Like, how do you just go along with it? I don't know. Anyway, so they actually have a good time, and they're pretty into each other, and they're just at dinner, and he just, like, word vomits, like, spills his guts to her, like, he talks about how he's been falling in love with her since the very beginning and blah blah blah, and then he hits her with the, I'm not just falling in love with you, I am in love with you. And then she asks him the hard questions, and he admits to both that he's in love with the other women, he slept with the other women, and Susie is out. She's done. She's like, I don't see how I could get past it with you. And he's just mad that she didn't tell him from the beginning that this ultimatum was like such a big deal to her. He had no idea, and so he's like pissed. We haven't even seen Clayton mad this whole season until this moment. And he is like, he's mad. He is like it's not necessarily a good look. It's probably the one time I've been like, oh, he's not that cute right now. He was like pretty pissed. So he was just like, so they separate, and she goes to think about if she wants to stay, and he's just outside talking to Jesse, and then she comes back and she's like, I wouldn't be able to get over it, so I have to go. And it's just like a really intense, weird conversation, and it turns for the worst, and he's just basically like, you just invalidated everything, and I want nothing to do with you. We're over. And she's like, I want you to know that I do care about you and I do love you. And it was just like I feel like I just ruined everything, and like blah blah blah. And like you can tell it was kind of like a tactic a little bit. I thought so at first, and then he literally walked her out. So it was like he was like, you just rejected me, so like I don't want to hear anything that you have to say, kind of thing. So I was like, I would act pretty much the same, honestly. I would be mad. This is one thing about women, and that I wrote down that I have had to learn about myself. You can't expect men to be mind readers, otherwise you're going to be disappointed a lot of the time. So you need to speak up and say the things that you fucking want. And I know a lot of people have a hard time with that because they're like, oh, well, he should just know, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, you miss half the shots you don't take. So you should probably start asking for what you want, or like manifesting the things that you want, putting into your own action. And that's just my opinion. And a lot of girls disagree. So I might be wrong. I don't think I'm wrong. But my opinion is that Susie should have stated from like hometowns, this is what I expect for fantasy suites. I don't want you sleeping with anyone else. If you're into me and I'm your person, don't you freaking dare sleep with anyone else. But instead, she wasn't confident enough to ask for that or state it. She just expected it to happen. You know, people have their games that they play and they want you to pass those games, and I think that it's a little backwards, because if you wanted something so bad, why wouldn't you just say it flat out? And I think it's, maybe I'm a more direct person than a lot of people, than a lot of girls anyways. It's like, not saying that there's a lot of girls out there that are the same way that I am. It's like, if you want something, ask for it. Don't just like wait around, and if it doesn't happen then you're mad. Who else can you be mad at? You didn't even like try to ask for it. Like, I know you like just want somebody to think of it on their own. That would be nice. But it doesn't have to be like that 100% of the time, especially with the big things. If it's a deal breaker to you, like, make it known, you know? And I feel like she really didn't, and then that's why he's so pissed. So I'm coming to Clayton's defense a little bit, because I think a lot of people will think that he was just being a jerk, and because he was mad. I probably would have acted very similarly if I liked that person that much and I had no idea that that was a deal breaker. I would have definitely acted differently. He probably should have just acted differently to begin with anyways, but it's not entirely his fault, I don't think. So next week is the finale, and we only have 2 people left because Susie went home. So we have Gabby and Rachel left, and it doesn't look like it's gonna go well. We will see. Tune in. If you miss anything, I'll be here for you. Just subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next week, guys.